Yo, what is going on YouTube? Today we are hitting you with a story that is absolutely wild, a true fall from grace that is shaking the music industry and beyond. We're talking about Sean Kingston. Remember Beautiful Girls, Fire Burning? Yeah, that's Sean Kingston. Well, things have taken a dark, dramatic turn. Just hours ago, Sean Kingston was escorted out of a courtroom practically speechless. His mother had just been arrested, and in a moment of raw emotion, he reportedly begged agents to protect her as they took her away. But while his focus might have been on his mom, Kingston himself has got some serious problems looming. We're talking millions of dollars in fraud, scamming businesses, even allegedly using his connections to Justin Bieber to dupe people. And now the big question is, how long will Sean Kingston be spending behind bars? This story is a roller coaster, so buckle up. For those who might be a little younger, let's throw it back for a sec. Sean Kingston was a global phenomenon. He gave us that unique Jamaican-American sound that was everywhere in the late 2000s. But fast forward to today, and Kingston's name is trending for all the wrong reasons. No cap. This is not the comeback story anyone was expecting. The headline is this: Sean Kingston and his mother, Janice Turner, have been found guilty. Guilty of wire fraud, guilty of defrauding businesses of over $1 million in luxury goods. Yes, you heard that right, his mom too. This isn't just some minor legal issue, this is serious federal drama. They're facing up to 20 years in prison per charge. The sentencing is scheduled for July 11th, 2025, and the internet is absolutely losing it over this mother-son duo caught in this insane legal mess. But before we dive into the fraud tea, let's understand where Sean Kingston came from. His story wasn't exactly a fairy tale. His early life was marked by hardship. We're talking a breaking and entering charge at age 11, time in jail, boot camp, periods of homelessness. He was literally sleeping in cars with his family. No joke, it was tough. And get this, his mother, Janice Turner, was incarcerated for identity fraud during his teenage years, adding even more weight to the family's struggles. Despite all of this, Kingston, against all odds, managed to turn things around. He was discovered on YouTube classic 21 St. Century Success Story and signed to Beluga Heights Records in 2007. His rise to fame was like something out of a movie, going from absolutely 0 to 100 real quick. For a while, it seemed like Kingston had finally escaped those tough beginnings. But here's where things get spicy and take a sharp turn. Kingston's career hasn't exactly been on fire lately. His follow-up albums after his initial success, Tomorrow in 2009 and Back to Life in 2013, saw diminishing returns. Back to Life completely failed to chart. Basically, the man went from chart-topping hits to struggling to stay relevant. And this financial decline, this struggle to maintain his lifestyle, might be a crucial piece of the puzzle when we look at what allegedly led to these fraud allegations. Let's talk about what actually went down, because this is where it gets absolutely bonkers. In May 2024, Kingston's South Florida mansion was raided by SWAT. Yes, SWAT, leading to his arrest alongside his mother on charges of fraud and theft. We're talking full-on SWAT team raid, the type of thing you see in those intense police shows. There's literally footage of this raid, and it shows just how serious the situation was. The allegations against Kingston and his mother are truly next level. They were accused of defrauding businesses of over $1 million through fraudulent documents and failed bank transfers. And what were they after? High-end vehicles, jewelry, luxury goods? We're talking Cadillac Escalades, designer watches worth 6 figures, luxury home theater systems. The man was really out here trying to ball out on a fraudulent budget. One of the most damning pieces of evidence came from Fort Lauderdale jeweler Moshe Eatery. He testified about Kingston providing a fake wire transfer screenshot for a $285,000 watch. Just imagine the audacity. Thinking you can get away with sending a fake screenshot for something worth almost 300 grand. The confidence, or maybe delusion, is on another level. And it gets worse. Police found voice memos and texts like Kingston instructing his mother to create fake receipts to delay payments. They literally have receipts on the receipts. In one particularly incriminating text, Kingston told his mother, and I quote, "I told you to make fake receipts so it looks like the transfer will be there in a couple of days." Major yikes. That's not just a bad decision, that's calculated deception. Now we know Sean Kingston hasn't just been known for his music, and now, unfortunately, for alleged fraud. He's had his share of personal struggles and challenges. Remember that serious jet ski accident in Miami back in 2011? Alongside a female passenger, his life has definitely been a roller coaster of ups and downs, but this fraud case, this is hitting different. Because it involves family, and it potentially involves decades behind bars. What's also fascinating and frankly pretty low is how Kingston allegedly used his celebrity status to pull off these scams. According to court documents, Kingston leveraged his fame by name-dropping former collaborators like Justin Bieber, promising social media advertising to lure businesses in. He even allegedly told a home entertainment company that he was Bieber's business partner to secure a $150,000 home theater system, a claim that Bieber was supposedly completely unaware of. Talk about clout chasing, gone horribly wrong. The sheer scale of this fraud is actually wild when you break it down. Kingston and his mother defrauded multiple businesses, jewelers, car dealerships, luxury goods providers, using fraudulent documents and fake wire transfers. The scheme was active from October 2023 to March 2024, months. According to court records, the total amount defrauded is over $1 million. This isn't some petty theft. This is a whole operation. Let's just run down some of the items they allegedly scammed. An Audemars Piguet watch worth $285,000, a bulletproof Cadillac Escalade valued at almost $160,000, a luxury bed worth over $86,000, that $150,000 home theater system, and various other jewelry valued at almost $500,000. This wasn't just about getting by. This was about maintaining a lavish lifestyle through alleged criminal means. The trial itself was a whole vibe, a 5-day legal showdown in March 2025. A Broward County jury found Kingston and Turner guilty of 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and 4 counts of wire fraud. And get this, it only took them 3 hours of deliberation. 3 hours. That's how quickly the jury was convinced of their guilt. The man who once sang about fire burning is now watching his future go up in flames. After the verdict, Kingston was placed under house arrest, electronic monitoring, required to post a bond of a home valued at $500,000 and $200,000 in cash. Meanwhile, his mother was immediately taken into custody. The moment was reportedly emotional, Kingston allegedly begging marshals to protect my mother as she was taken away. No matter what they did, seeing your mom get taken to jail has got to hit different. From mansion raids to courtroom drama, this whole legal saga kicked off in May 2024. Authorities had clearly had enough of Kingston's alleged shenanigans. That SWAT team raid on his rented mansion in Southwest Ranches, Florida, leading to his mother's arrest. It was giving major movie vibes. Officers in tactical gear, police vehicles surrounding the property, the whole 9 yards. Kingston wasn't home during the raid, but that didn't save him from catching these hands of justice. He was later arrested in California at Fort Irwin Army Base after performing at a concert. Imagine going from performing on stage to being put in handcuffs. Talk about a vibe check. Gone wrong. TMZ got the whole thing on video, and it's absolutely wild to see how quickly Kingston's life changed. Things got real official, real quick. Kingston was booked into Broward Jail on June 4th, 2024, with charges related to the $1 million fraud case, bond set at $100,000. Then, just 2 months after the arrest, both Kingston and his mother were indicted in Miami federal court. This wasn't just some minor legal trouble. These were serious federal charges that could send them away for decades. The court appearances that followed were giving total drama. During a pre-trial hearing on August 26, 2024, both Kingston and his mother pleaded not guilty. Kingston's attorney even sought dismissal of one case, but the prosecution wasn't having it. They had receipts, literally and figuratively. Now I want y'all to understand just how serious these charges are. Kingston and Turner were charged with 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and 4 counts of wire fraud. Each of these counts carries a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. Do the math. That's potentially 100 years if the sentences were to run consecutively. Now, typically, sentences run concurrently, meaning at the same time, but still, we're talking about some serious time behind bars. The trial itself was mad interesting, lasted 5 days. The prosecution presented evidence of 33 fake wire transfer receipts. One of the key moments was Fort Lauderdale jeweler Moshe Eatery's testimony. He detailed how Kingston provided that fake wire transfer screenshot for the $285,000 watch. Eatery claimed that Kingston promised to introduce him to other celebrities for future business opportunities, even playing a voice memo in court where Kingston said, "I'm going to have you at all my video shoots and red carpets." But those promises turned out to be cap, and Eatery allegedly lost his credibility and got fired as a result of this whole mess. What's also interesting is how the defense tried to spin this. Turner's defense claimed she was protecting her son from scammers, asserting she always intended to pay back debts. Meanwhile, Kingston's defense portrayed him as a child, clueless about finances, but the jury wasn't buying what they were selling. After just 3 hours of deliberation, bam, guilty verdict on all counts. The moment the verdict was announced, the courtroom was filled with tension. Kingston was reportedly emotional, begging marshals to protect my mother as she was taken into custody. Again, this moment, regardless of what they did, humanizes the situation. Seeing your mother headed to jail, devastating. So what happens next? The sentencing is scheduled for July 11th, 2025. Both Kingston and his mother are in limbo, waiting to find out exactly how many years they'll be facing. Kingston is under house arrest with electronic monitoring while Turner remains in custody. The judge cited Turner's past criminal history as a reason for denying her bail, noting her 2006 conviction for bank fraud, for which she served 16 months in prison. This isn't Turner's first rodeo with fraud charges, which definitely doesn't help her case. And remember, during Kingston's teenage years, his mother was incarcerated for identity fraud. It seems like fraud charges run in the family, raising uncomfortable questions about nature versus nurture and the cycle of criminal behavior. Speaking of cycles, let's not forget that Kingston himself had legal issues as a youth. At age 11, breaking and entering charge, 21 days in jail, boot camp. Early life marked by struggle, homelessness, sleeping in cars. It's a classic case of someone who came from nothing, made it big, and then seemingly couldn't maintain that lifestyle when the checks stopped coming in. What's particularly interesting is the role Kingston's mother played. The judge described Turner as the operator, fixer, and accountant behind the scheme. Managing deliveries, ensuring fraudulent transactions proceeded smoothly. This wasn't just Kingston acting alone, it appears to have been a family operation, making the whole situation even more complicated and frankly more tragic. Both defendants' attorneys have indicated plans to appeal the verdict. Kingston's attorney stated, "We do not agree with the verdict," and expressed gratitude that Kingston was allowed to remain on bond pending sentencing. Turner's attorney also plans to appeal, but realistically, the chances of a successful appeal seem slim given the overwhelming evidence presented during the trial. Now let's talk possible sentencing scenarios. While each count carries a maximum of 20 years, it's rare for first-time offenders to receive the maximum, especially in white-collar crime cases. However, this isn't Turner's first rodeo with fraud charges, which could lead to a harsher sentence for her. Additionally, the scale of the fraud, over $1 million, and the number of victims involved could also factor into sentencing decisions. The fall from the top has been loud, and fans have definitely provided more insight through their reactions. The social media storm since news of Kingston's conviction broke has been intense. On X, formerly Twitter, reactions have been coming in hot. One user posted, "Yo, Sean Kingston and his moms just got hit guilty on that fraud tip over $1 million and fake flexing on cars and ice. From beautiful girls to court tears, Wild in Philadelphia don't play that." Captures the shock and disappointment many fans are feeling perfectly. Another user didn't hold back on the criticism, commenting, "Sean Kingston referencing people trying to break him daily after a fraud conviction is wild, accountability nowhere in sight." This points to frustration with Kingston's apparent lack of responsibility for his actions. Over on Reddit, discussions have been just as spicy, but with that classic Reddit humor mixed in. In a thread titled "Sean Kingston Facing Decades in Prison Following Indictment Over Wire Fraud Charges," users were quick to reference Kingston's songs. Comments like, "Somebody call 911 and ain't no beautiful girls where he's going." Dark humor, but it shows how Kingston's music is still part of the cultural conversation even if it's now being referenced in a different context. What's really interesting on Reddit is the personal anecdotes that have emerged. Users sharing stories about Kingston not paying bills at a transportation job, demanding free popcorn in Ireland, suggesting that his financial issues and entitlement might have been a pattern long before these fraud charges. One Reddit user summed up what many seem to be thinking, "I'm guessing he made a not massive but decent amount of money that had he been really smart with it, he could have lived comfortably, but clearly he makes bad decisions." This gets to the heart of the frustration. Kingston had opportunities many dream of, but poor financial management and questionable choices led him down this path. On YouTube, videos covering Kingston's legal troubles are racking up views. Mainstream news outlets like Variety, The New York Times, TMZ are all covering the story extensively. The case has clearly captured public attention, not just within music circles, but as a broader story about celebrity, fame, and downfall. But it's not all criticism and mockery. Some fans have expressed nostalgia for Kingston's music, a certain sadness about his current situation. Even before these legal issues, in older Reddit threads, users were reminiscing about his hits and questioning his career trajectory, suggesting that while fans are disappointed, there's still a connection to his music, a curiosity about his journey. Looking at all these reactions, the dominant sentiment is surprise and disappointment. Though with undertones of nostalgia for Kingston's early career, the public reaction has been predominantly unsympathetic, questioning his financial management. So, what's next for Sean Kingston and his mother? Sentencing in July 2025, potential prison time, appeals. If Kingston serves time, what about his career post-release? Can he make a comeback? The music industry has seen it before, but the severity of these charges and the damage to his reputation, challenging. One possibility? Kingston could use this experience for a comeback album or memoir. Artists have transformed personal struggles into art, but it would require accountability and introspection, something critics feel Kingston hasn't demonstrated. He still has a fan base, millions of followers online. How he engages with them during and after his legal battles will influence his future prospects. This case also highlights broader issues: celebrity culture, the pressure to maintain a lifestyle, even when the reality doesn't support it. From a legal perspective, a reminder of the serious consequences of wire fraud. For Kingston's victims, the verdict may provide some closure, but the financial damage is done. The sentencing on July 11th, 2025 is the next chapter. Will they receive maximum sentences? Will there be leniency, early release for good behavior? What will Kingston's legacy be? Beautiful girls or fraudster? Only time will tell. But the Sean Kingston fraud case has captivated public attention, sparked important conversations about celebrity responsibility and the consequences of our actions. A reminder that no matter how high you climb, the law applies to everyone, and actions ultimately have consequences. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit the video on your screen and let's keep going.